Mr. Slavitt, first we were told that the situation at Winnebago was unique. As time went on, we heard from other tribes that they were experiencing similar problems impacting patient safety, patient care, but still the administration claimed the issues facing Winnebago were an exception to the rule. Then CMS sent notices of intent to Rosebud, Pine Ridge hospitals indicating that their provider status was at risk as well. So based on the information we're receiving, I suspect that the, quote, immediate jeopardy conditions found at these 3 facilities also exist at other hospitals in the Great Plains and beyond. I'm just asking how many, IHS facilities have been issued this immediate jeopardy findings since 2010, and why does the problem seem to be so concentrated in the Great Plains area?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as you stated, we have issued in one situation a termination of our participation in Medicare and Medicaid, and in 2 situations late last year where there is a similar potential, and the management of the hospitals is in the process of giving us a response to those areas. I might suggest that I allow my colleague Thomas Hamilton to speak to more specifics as it relates to the breadth of the work that we're doing across what we're seeing across the Indian Health Services.
Mr. Hamilton, welcome to the committee.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. As Administrator Slavitt indicated, since 2010, we've had 18 site visits on these 3 facilities alone, and all of our survey reports are matters of public record. We appreciate that the committee had requested a number of those and clearly, carefully examined those for the results. When we find that there are serious deficiencies, then we issue a notice to the hospital scheduling a prospectively scheduled termination date, which communicates a message that there will be no discussion about whether or not problems are fixed, but rather how quickly and how well. And so that is the situation that's been playing out at these 3 facilities.
Well, Mr. Hamilton, if I could, Winnebago's first citation after the 2010 report that Senator Dorgan came out with occurred in April of 2011, but CMS didn't terminate the provider agreement until 4 years later, July of 2015. Extensions have consequences, and at Winnebago, between 2011 and 2015, there were 5 extensions granted by CMS. I wonder if standard termination procedures and timelines were followed, if it might have been different in terms of patient lives possibly being saved. So, I wonder why it takes so long for CMS to act on its own findings, and what led the agency to finally make the decision to terminate the provider agreement at Winnebago.
Simply because termination occurred later does not mean that there was no activity. In fact, there was a great deal of activity. My colleagues in the Quality Improvement Group were enlisted. They got 4 quality improvement organizations under contract to provide direct on-site technical assistance between 2012 and 2014 to Pine Ridge, Winnebago, and Rosebud facilities. We were hoping at that point in time that a regimen of intense technical assistance would do the job. When we went back out in April of 2014, unfortunately, we found that the problems had not been remedied to the extent necessary. And at that time, we issued a termination notice again. And the director at that time of the Indian Health Service personally became involved. Dr. Rubidoux went out to the facility. There was a change of the chief executive officer. There were a variety of other more intensive changes were put in place. For 6 months, quality did improve. Yeah. However, when we went back out in 2015, again, we found that the gains had not been sustained, and we issued the final, reluctantly, termination notice for Medicare.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Thank you, Mr. Slavitt.